Freelander 2 and we're going to be fitting a dash cam into it. Now to do this you're going to need a few select tools. I'll quickly run through what I'm using. Electrical tape, multimeter or one of those test probe screwdrivers with a light bulb in the end to quickly test which circuits are auxiliary and ignition switched. A plastic leverage tool, a sturdy thing like that, not a metal screwdriver because it damages all the plastic trim. You can get these off eBay, Amazon, they're normally about £1 for a pack of 3, well worth investing in. Some long nose pliers because the fuse box on the Freelander is very recessed, far behind the dashboard and quite hard to get to, so we'll be using that to pull the fuse out when we get to it. Some snips, and last of all, some cable ties, sort of 2 or 3. Now, when you're buying your dash cam, wherever you get it from, say if they've got a fitting kit like this. Now normally you get the corresponding brand fitting kit for the corresponding camera. So we've got an X-Base camera, we've got an X-Base kit. In the kit comes all this stuff. A ferrite filter for interference on DAB radios and such like. It's on a hinge, it opens up and it wraps around your power cable at the USB end near the camera. I'll show you that shortly. A replacement power cable which terminates in an earth cable and a power cable. Like I say, on the other end you have a mini USB on this one. Yours obviously may terminate in a round power connector or a micro USB. Just make sure you get the right one for the camera. You also get these things, fuse spurs. Now commercial and some older vehicles still use the larger fuses, the bigger ones here, or a lot of modern cars, or indeed the Freelander on most fuses, uses the mini blade fuse such as this. Now what this does is enable one fuse socket in your fuse box to be doubled up. So in other words, you will pull the fuse out, shove it in here and shove this into your fuse box. This fuse runs your camera. This is 2-3 amp type size, and then obviously the fuse you've removed from your fuse box goes in here to run the original circuit. That gives you a power output cable like so, which will plug onto the red cable to this kit. If you're not buying a kit and you like the idea of a fuse spur, once again get yourself on eBay, Amazon, a lot of the car shops sell them. It's a fuse spur and they're literally like £1, £2. They are very handy and they save soldering and messing around with different stuff. So first job first is to unwind some power cable and fit your ferrite filter. So here we've attached the ferrite filter. You'll notice it's hinged, so it's a hinged back plate there, 2 clips on the front. What you do is pop it open, lay the cable across the centre of it, wrap it around the exterior underneath and then back out again, like so. Then what I normally do is attach some cable ties, so as such put them on, space them across the top of the windscreen, snip them off and cover them in electrical tape. Now what this is for, you don't have to do this, but basically if you're driving along, this is across the top of your windscreen, yeah, pushed up in your headlining. If you hit a large pothole, there is the possibility that the cable is just going to drop down in front of you, in front of the windscreen while you're driving along. You don't want that. This bulks the cable out a little tiny bit just to give it something to grip to. The reason I cover it in electrical tape, because if you've ever used cable ties and you'll know, they can be quite sharp when you've snipped the end off them. Now over time, obviously with it jigging around in the roof, we don't want it rubbing through the headlining. It's only a card fibre affair, the headlining, and it could damage it from the inside. So just covering, just to pad them out a bit, make them smooth. So go ahead, cover all 3 in tape, snip them down, get them the correct length for the top of your roof lining, and we'll move on. Right, so we're at the top of the window. Get your cable, normally grab one of the cable ties and gently put your fingers under the headlining. You can normally flex it just a little bit. Don't go at it like a bull in a china shop. It's quite weak, you can easily crease it. So just flex it down enough to tuck your cable up so it sits in the recess. And all you want showing is basically just a little tiny bit dropping down onto your camera so it looks factory fitted. Next up, we're going to pull this rubber seal off. Just pull it. Like so, and then at the top here you'll be able to flex that forward and behind see the airbag. Now we're going to put the cable behind the airbag, so there's the airbag lock, we're going to go behind it so the cable comes basically from the top corner here, goes in behind the airbag and then drops all the way down the side until you get to this plate here. If you are struggling to get the cable behind the pillar, if you've got a tight pillar like this one is, pop the little cap off that says airbag, and beneath it is a TX30 screw. Undo the screw some way so that the pillar can be moved away from the upright pillar, and we can be able to tuck the cable down nicely. So I've just removed it a bit, and there you go, look, it's made it nice and loose to get the cable behind it. You can just simply tuck it, like I say, down, and then underneath the airbag you can pull the airbag forward a little bit gently and tuck the cable down from there. Now we're at the side panel here. Your fuse box on this is a right-hand drive UK vehicle. Obviously it would depend on left-hand drive, etc. Open your glove box, and there are two tabs up here, so it's quite dark. Basically we've got to pull the tabs across towards each other and drop the glove box lid down. Your owner's handbook will tell you how to do that, because your fuse box is located right at the back behind them. The other thing we're going to do is use our plastic leverage tool to remove this trim here. Okay, now that pops off, it's on clips. Now it's quite loose actually, some of these are quite tight. Got a tight top clip. There we go, take that off, pop that safely out of the way. This gives you access to not only hide the extra cable but also to a good earthing point. You can put the black earth wire behind one of these bolts, which I will do shortly, and also feed the power cable up to the correct location. So with glove box door out of the way, just pay attention to your damper there. Like I say, it's on a little spring clip, just be careful you don't snap it. Very easy to do, you just lift it and pull. It's on the back of the box, and then pull the box completely out of the way. Gives access to your fuse box, which is here. There's normally a little cover on it like this. Squeeze the tabs inward and this will come away, and there's your power cable ready to go. Now earth cable, like I say, we're going to mount it, one of these bolts, either will do. Don't worry, your dashboard won't go anywhere, it's held in with an awful lot of stuff, so yeah, you're definitely not going to worry about that moving. There's our earthing point done. Remove the bolt, put a large washer behind it, and then the earth ring on top of that, and then another washer. So it's like sandwiched, and it spreads the load evenly for the bolt. Okay, we're going to run the cables down out of the way here, tuck any excess behind the kick panel here. So now we're at the part where you're going to need your multimeter, or your test probe screwdriver. With your ignition off, I mean there's a handy guide at the back here. I've done a lot of these Freelanders over the years, so basically I already know roughly what to check, but if you go down here to the fuse box so you can see that, we're going to go with F4, test F4, touch the prong on the end here, there we go. The ignition off, 0 voltage, that's what you need. If you turn the ignition on, voltage on that one will change to 12.4 or 12.5, whatever the car runs at, and that shows you that is an ignition switched. Now, like I say, you are going to have to test your own fuse box because layouts are different depending on where the vehicle is sold, depending what optional extras it's got, etc. But general rule of thumb, you want an accessory circuit, nothing critical, no ABS, no ECU, no airbags, nothing like that, accessory circuit only. So go ahead and pull that fuse out. Fuse out, and popped into the end of our fuse spur. You can now put the fuse spur in the slot the fuse came from, like so, and obviously pull any excess cable up out of the way, and we're going to be cable tying this cable up into a nice ball neatly and stacked behind the trim here. Now is a good time to try your camera. Ignition on and camera on. Power light in the corner here, there we go, nicely lit up. Charge symbol in the bottom left hand corner there showing you it's charging. Power off, camera off, ignition off. And that, guys, is how you fit a dash cam in a Freelander 2. Obviously pop your glove box lid back on, your fuse box cover back on. They can be quite snug because of your fuse spur that's sitting there. Clip your side trim back on. All is the reverse procedure of removal. And that concludes this video. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them fairly quickly, but bear in mind I do get a lot of questions every day on all sorts of vehicles, so just bear with me on that one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.